There are 7 middle schools in the Jayhawkville School District. There is Polk Middle School, Roosevelt Middle School, Truman Middle School, Washington Middle School, Lincoln Middle School, Taft Middle School, and Jackson Middle School. All of these schools have a lot of strengths and things that they are excelling in, but they also have some weaknesses and things they can improve on. And I'm going to give some recommendations for them to improve on those things. But first, we are going to take a look at the strengths of all those schools. So first of all, Jayhawkville Middle Schoolers are very culturally diverse in their students and community members. They are diverse not only in race or ethnicity, but also in religion as well. This can lead to students being exposed to a lot of different types of backgrounds and different opinions, and I think that's really good for them. The schools also focus on team teaching to ensure close relationships between students and teachers. This basically means that they take a student-centered learning approach, which is usually very beneficial to students. I also like that the teacher turnover rate at the middle schools is super low. This results in an abundance of experienced educators who hopefully experience in curriculum planning, and they can help those newer teachers foster those skills as well. Many of the schools also seem to have great extracurricular activities. So Taft has an award-winning fine arts program, and Washington is excelling at sports. This shows that the schools are invested not only in students' academic strengths, but also in their other strengths as well, which I think is really important. And finally, parents and other community members are very involved with the schools. For example, Taft parents recently helped with the science fair, and Lincoln has a very strong parental support with the PTA, which helped raise a substantial amount of money for them in the past year. However, some of these schools, or all of these schools really, have a few weaknesses as well. Overall, the district as a whole has a very wide range of levels of academic performance throughout the schools, which is concerning. Polk and Washington are non-proficient. Roosevelt, Truman, and Jackson are proficient, and Lincoln and Taft are the only two who are high performing. In addition to that, there is a very high percentage of students on free or reduced lunch. Those percentages are as high as 83% at Polk Middle School for the 2016 to 2017 school year. And also, many of the schools are experiencing students scoring below grade level for their ELA tests. Even Taft, which is a high performing school, has 43% of its students performing below grade level standard. And a lot of the non proficient schools are even lower than that. This is very concerning. And I think that part of that could be due to not only the different levels of academic performance, but also the different levels of funding that each of those school attendance zones get as well. However, even though they do have some weaknesses, they also have some opportunities as well. For example, at Jackson, which is one of the few schools that isn't very culturally diverse, the vast majority of their students are white. So they have had a bullying problem going on there, but they're implementing a bullying program to try to prevent that. If that's successful, that could potentially be implemented district wide. And every school in the United States has a bullying program, so that would be very beneficial to any of their schools in their district. Another opportunity is because parent involvement is so high, like I mentioned, there is opportunity to fundraise for new technology and resources that could come in the form of new books, writing resources, maybe tablets, things like that, that could be very beneficial to the students. In addition to that, the schools could also have all of their English language arts teachers come together to create curriculum plans that would be most beneficial to their wide range of students. If all of the teachers collaborated, they could probably cover the vast diversity that all of their students have, which would be very beneficial to not only them, but their students as well. Um, Although these schools have these opportunities, they also have some threats that could potentially halt those opportunities. The first one, as I previously mentioned, is the unequal distribution of wealth amongst the attendance zones. This is the most concerning to me. The schools in the southern zone are doing well and they're thriving, but the schools in the north and central zones are really struggling, and it could be very difficult to redistribute that wealth equally amongst all those schools. In addition to that, the lack of funding seems to lead to unequal help for non-white students, students on free or reduced lunch, and ELL students. This could potentially lead to further achievement gap of learners in all of those schools. Also, some members of the administration seem to be easily swayed when determining how to spend their school's budgets, which could further expand those issues with the funding and budgets of all the schools. However, though, I have some recommendations that could potentially help that. So my first one is to incorporate more uses of technology in lessons and projects. If possible, implementing a one-to-one iPad or tablet could be extremely beneficial to students. I also think it would be very beneficial to hire a department head for the English Language Arts department at every school. Maybe all of those department heads could meet together maybe once a month or something like that to determine a curriculum plan that would help strengthen students' reading and writing skills. Also, the district could implement a program to increase help for ELL and other special student needs. Maybe the English Language Arts department heads could discuss that. Teachers should also incorporate a wide variety of text and writing assignments to accommodate all of the culturally diverse students and different types of learners. And the final thing that I can recommend for the school is to encourage parents to take an active part in their students' learning. If they're struggling, the parents seem to want to be very involved with the school. So if they're struggling, hopefully they can help motivate their students to do better in school. I also think the parents can potentially help with fundraising for new devices such as the tablets that I mentioned earlier. They seem to want to really help the school, and I think that is definitely a place for parent help. Overall, the schools seem to be doing really well, and I think if they implemented these recommendations in their school district, that it would take them even to the next level.